3, 2, 1. How's it going? Welcome again here to Fridays with Goodman with Dr. Larry Goodman. Say hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good
and Fridays with Goodman, welcome to it. And you can always reach us at goodmanfactor.com or drlarrygoodman.com or fridayswithgoodman.com.
All right, so that was a good little intro into seeing where you can reach us and the things that we go. Let's go straight into our topic. I mean, we're talking about our topic. You know, again, we wrote a book together and called Fridays with Goodman. You can check that out on Amazon as well. And that's just the whole premise of all these talks you'll be seeing. I think this is our third episode that we're doing here. And I guess we're evolving as we go, you know. So that's the only way we can.
Like life.
The topic today that I wanted to do, because it's come up before. I read this years ago, and I even wanted to start a website on it, like a website domain name, and it's already taken. I tried. If you're going to go try to get it, it's been taken. But it's the term called kenosis. Kenosis is a Greek term. The Greek root of it is to empty, and then the kenosis is an emptying out, so to empty out. And then I was reading this other book the other day, and that's what brought this topic, the physics of angels. But kenosis came up again, and you know, in its book it says, without this emptying process, this kenosis, we can survive only in a world such as we're in the sense that we choose our future depending how we have allowed ourselves to be pruned in this lifetime. So that's kind of like a lead-in, a segue into some of the questions. So I kind of wanted to break this down into like a what, why, when, and how kind of scenario, you know? So, have you read anything on kenosis before we begin these questionings, or what? Have any that kenosis has hit you in your readings or in your teachings?
The short answer is quite a bit. And the big awareness that I think we're going to come to as a people on planet Earth at this moment is that we are being emptied. Starting earlier this year with the beginning of the now infamous COVID-19 that really started the process at a heightened level of everyone being emptied of everything related to the way that it is that they live their lives.
Definitely. That is for sure. Every which way. Yeah, definitely when you strip your stuff, like they tell you from one day to the next, you know, because there's some people that didn't have anything to begin with. Their bank accounts were empty. And then they tell you have to stay home. That alone is a kenosis lesson. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm almost sure it's kenosis. Yeah. I have it up here. Let me see what it says here.
Kenosis.
Kenosis. All right, so I'm correct. Kenosis. All right, trying to make sure I wasn't saying it in a Greek accent or something, and that's like the correct way to do this. So one of the things to understand, you know, the origin is to empty and emptying out. And so I was wondering, like, in a what way? What is it that we need to empty out? What do we fill it with, right? We have to kind of like in the first laws of thermodynamics, it state that energy is always conserved and it cannot be created or destroyed. So we have to fill it with something. Same thing with like a habit. I always know if you have a habit, in order to take bad habits, you have to replace it with a better one and keep doing it over and over until it becomes overlapped. So what do you think?
So if anybody can remember, sorry?
What is that? So what is it they need to empty out? Like, what is it to pinpoint and to fill it?
So in the material realm, if anybody can think back to the beginning of when the authority figures at the start of this COVID pandemic, the authority figures stood in front of us on a little screen and they said, for 15 days to flatten the curve, we want you to just stay home. Don't go to work. Don't go out. Don't socialize. Just stay home for 15 days. And it started with that empty. Because what got emptied then in that instant was your attachment to the rituals that really are what for most of us hold you glued down to the ground or glued into the routines of your life. And what started to happen then, and if anybody can remember, that was in March. It was just going to be for 15 days. And then it got to be 30 days. And then it got to be 60 days. And it's gone on till now. And what's really taking place is, in the emptying process, we're being given the opportunity to sort ourselves out based on how we deal with being emptied. And what you're seeing is some people respond to the emptying out process with fear. Just stark, raving fear. And some of the way that that got dealt with, even from the beginning, was self-medication with drugs, with alcohol, with watching television, with anything to do to dissipate the uncomfortability that many of us feel from being empty.
Right.
Another segment of people dealt with being empty as being okay with it. Preferring to be full, but being okay with being empty. And those people dealt with it with, we'll just call it, a greater level of poise and grace.
Right.
And then another segment of the people recognized the opportunity that comes from being empty, from letting go, from starting to take a look at what it is you've been holding on to in the form of people, places, things, ideas, and events, and determining, did I really need that? Did I really want that? Did it still serve me? If I don't want it anymore, what would I like to replace it with? And so in that kenosis came a tremendous opportunity. And the choice is always up to you. And as I've taught and teach people over the years, one of the big lessons to learn is to become comfortable with your uncomfortableness. So the prospect of letting go of whatever it is you've been holding on to in terms of the rituals, or in terms of the things, or even in terms of the people, to become comfortable with the uncomfortableness and know that you're okay, that you don't really need the stuff, the aforementioned stuff, and that it really does represent an opportunity in disguise to take a look and see, does the stuff that you've been holding on to, does it serve you? Does it still serve you? Or could you seize the opportunity to make what comes next be really what you'd love to be, do, and have?
Right. Now I'll probably bring you into the asking the question of why. Why would I want? I'm holding on to this stuff. This is my stuff. I mean, now I just saw on Netflix, they have a show on people that organize your home. I'm so disorganized. They come in and organize your house, put all the little trinkets so you can buy more crap to put in your house and fill it up. And I was just like, that's what kind of brought me to this kenosis thing. So now I would come to the next question. Why? Why do we want to empty these things out? These are my things. It's such a, so I guess from fear, you turn to control, the only thing you can control, right? So these are my things.
Yeah.
So what are
Right.
the benefits and detriments of knowing why I need to empty this out and clear my mind and replace this with the right thoughts, feeling, and actions?
So people have a choice with regard to their sense of themselves to be internally referenced with a locus of control or have an external locus of control. And unfortunately, most people learn to live with an external locus of control that basically sounds like and looks like the sense of being okay as long as I've got my stuff and as long as my stuff is in good order. In fact, the way it winds up looking like is they come to identify their condition based on the condition of their stuff. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because there was a piece on over the weekend I was watching about one of the newfound obsessions during this quarantine and COVID period. People are becoming obsessed with their lawns, with the quality of their lawns. The grass, the grass. Yeah. And they traced it back, and this is what was fascinating. Each of the pandemics was associated with an obsession with people and their gardens. So there's something in the nature of man to seek to find that comfort, to mitigate the uncomfortability of being uprooted by having more control over the things that you can control. You know, that serenity prayer is a really profound truth.
Right.
If you listen to it. To grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And a lot of what's going on in the world globally is things that we cannot control. And so we seem to inherently then seek to make there be some control over, whether it's the lawn or your house or organizing your closets, or bread making has also taken on a tremendous increase in people taking it on as a habit, as a hobby rather.
Right, the sour bread. We've been doing that as well. It's such it's a rewarding process for such a little amount. You're like, I should make 2 loaves, because you have to wait like 12 hours and 5 hours. It's such a process. But what do you think is what is the why in this, and the why of, like, understanding, say we pinpoint a specific thing that's just overwhelming that we need to kind of empty out. Why would this be so beneficial for me to let that go? Like, whatever you pinpoint in your own life that's happening, or even in this pandemic that's happening.
We live our lives aligned with a value system, except that most of us, unfortunately, live the unexamined life. We are being driven by these values that were, in most cases, installed in our youth by mother, father, teacher, preacher, habits, movies, books, etc. And you wind up with this scripting of a story of how you should be living your life. And to the extent to which it's a comfortable fit, well, then you feel at ease, then you might even feel happy, you might even have the sense that you're being successful. Until something happens. And when the something happens where you're denied your fix, and it literally is a fix, from the fix is the ability to connect with and obtain from those external sources the validation of your value system, or even internally the validation of your value system. I'm okay as long as I have, be, or do what it is I assigned the value to in who it is I am. So especially in the relationships and career and financial arenas, many people right now, the anxiety and depression and the disruptions of their sleep cycles are coming about because suddenly, and for an invisible reason, and when I say invisible, I mean, listen, we've given this thing a name, this pandemic, but nobody really knows. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it. All you know for sure is they told you that's what's causing it. And that's not very satisfying to the psyche. It's not very satisfying to the soul to be denied your fix because of something that you can't see.
Right.
And so the question becomes, and it begs you to ask the question of yourself, why am I making myself crazy this way? And it does represent an opportunity if you'll seize it. Because if you then started to take a look at your values, a conscious look at your values, and a new conscious look at your purpose and your mission statement, you could choose at any point, and we do it in life anyway. It's the stuff that, sorry, as the gray-haired guy on this segment, the midlife crisis, in quotes, is always born of waking up one day to the realization that you're not going to live forever. And in this case of what's going on the planet, what everybody is coming upon the awareness of is that everything's not like it was before. And so people are throwing around this concept and the languaging of it as, is this going to be the new normal? Is this going to be the new normal?
I hate that word, right? It's only the setting in a washing machine, right?
Yes, it's only the setting on a washing machine.
Right.
And how long is it going to go on like this until it goes back to that normal?
Yeah.
Well, since they told us at the beginning that it was only going to be 15 days,
right,
till we flattened the curve.
Yeah, right.
What it's forcing or giving you the opportunity to know, kenoō, to know is that you're okay anyway. That you don't need the stuff that you thought you needed to have meaning in your life. And if you didn't need it, you could be free of it. And that's a lot of what the transformational opportunity is that's taking place right now, is if you can make peace and comfort in being emptied, then you can actually choose in the next chapter of your life to really do what you love what you do, and be well compensated for it in the way that you choose. So, for example, when I reinvented myself even before this COVID, I do my work now virtually, probably 95%. What it's allowed me to do is literally my workplace and my home place are seamless. There's no commute.
Right. You can't
For me, it's been, what's that?
You can't use the traffic excuse to get there late to work, right?
You can't use the traffic excuse to get there late from work. And the time that you used to spend in traffic is now available to you to make constructive use of, to read, to write, to communicate, to enhance your relationship with your family. The school thing and the home schooling thing that's going on is another one of these areas where the kenosis has taken place. You've been emptied of the model of, well, you have some kids, and now the kids have reached a point, and now the kids go to school, and the teachers take over, and the teachers raise the kids. And what we're all being confronted by about that is the kids have been educated or indoctrinated, depending on how you see it, with the values not of the family, not of the parents, but in fact of the teachers, with a curriculum that the parents, in many cases, I know for myself, I'll confess, I did not look nearly as carefully at what the curriculum was. I've got a daughter who's 29.
Right.
Very well educated, very good student, and some of the stuff that's in her brain that she got taught by these teachers is not aligned with my values.
Right. Make sure
I didn't even know that it was taking place at the time.
Yeah, nobody knew. That's what's showing up now, the end result of that, right?
Exactly. And so I think the opportunity that there is, that we invite everybody to take a look at, is that Chinese character for crisis and opportunity being the same. If you'll see it through your eyes and the lens that says that what's going on as the result of this kenosis, this emptying, is an opportunity to look more closely at what you're going to fill your life with now.
Right.
And you can literally have it be the life of your dreams, the life that you would love to have, which is why I call my 2-day signature program your Goodest Life. You can actually live your Goodest Life starting now, if you're willing to do the work.
Well,
let me invite you to.
Yeah, well, to finish this up, and I just kind of wanted to play on the when and how. We have two more. Like when knowing all this awareness, knowing all these things that we've discussed in the emptying out process, when should this awareness of emptying out be implemented? And then also, how am I going to make this stick? Like any habit, once I empty out, that's going to be replaced with something, or what? That you often say the universe abhors a vacuum, right? It's going to be replaced.
Right.
By something else. So have that proper growth mindset. So when is a good awareness of emptying out to be implemented, and how will you make it?
So the irony of the when is you get to decide. If you deal with it as an opportunity, and you open your life and you open your heart and you open your mind to it, the when can be whenever you say so, whenever you decide. Yeah. If by comparison and by contrast, you resist it because you're afraid, because you think it means something, and there's a long list of whys that the when you think shouldn't or couldn't be now, well, then you'll try to not do it for as long as you can avoid it. Yeah. And the challenge I invite people to understand is that the more you resist that, the more it will persist. The more you try to push back on it, because it's what's going on a planetary basis, the more you resist it, the more it's going to show up. So not only do I invite you to be open to doing it now, or whenever now is for you, when you feel stuck, we encourage people, I work with people, we work with people to enable them to go from stuck to unstoppable. And the way you get to make that transformation is by taking the energy that you're using to resist it and instead accepting it and using the energy to facilitate the change. So that's the when.
Right.
And the how, and this is the last piece of the wisdom of the moment for today, is the how is surrender. Surrender to win. You see, in the language of our culture, we have come to think and view surrendering as giving up, like you lost.
Right.
But in fact, in the realm of transformation, in the realm of what's inevitable, when you surrender, you win. So the how is let go. The how is acceptance. The how is act better than you feel. The how is, if necessary, get a coach. If necessary, talk to a friend. If necessary, listen, you got YouTube, you got Zoom classes, you got books, you got all kinds of ways to learn how to whatever. And I'll just say this about it. The bigger your why, the more heartfelt your why is, the more the how will find you.
Yeah.
So trust your process.
Yeah.
Let the emptying happen and embrace it.
It reminds me of that.
And I think that's a great place to stop.
It is, where you empty out. It's like the best time to plant a seed, 40 years ago was probably good. Or what's the next best time right now? So that's all we have. So focus on what you want and not what you don't want. And that's where we should transfer our energy on that. So empty out, kenosis. That was a good talk. I like that. Went in a good direction. So again, you can find our book, Fridays with Goodman, on Amazon.com. Learn more about Larry and Dr. Goodman and his services, and also Your Goodest Life at yourgoodestlife.com, and also goodmanfactor.com. So thank you for listening, and spread it around, and share this if it did any kind of impact. And remember to empty out. Thank you. Take care, Larry. Talk to you later.